Okay.
Okay, so welcome after some technology challenges as always. Welcome to our Blab today. I'm Bobbi Palmer, the dating and relationship coach for women over 40, the founder of Date Like a Grownup. And today we're going to talk about first date tips, first date success. Really important, right, Sandy?
Oh, yeah. So hi, Bobbi. I'm Sandy Weiner, and I am the founder of Last First Date, and I coach women over 42 and help them have success in life and love and fall in love with their own lives and find an amazing partner. And today we are going to start with how to prepare for a date, for a first date. So I think I'll take the first tip.
Okay, let me
do you want to?
Real quick?
Okay, sure.
I just wanted to talk about why we picked this topic, right? Because the first dates are everything. I mean, they really are. They're so important. I mean, if you're going to meet your man, listen, if you're going to meet your man or your woman, you got to date, whether you like it or not. You got to get out there. You got to meet people. And so, so often we just kind of don't give it thought. Like we don't prepare for it. And it's like anything else that's really important in your life. And this is really important in your life. This takes some preparation. It takes some knowledge. It takes some new skills. So that's why we wanted to talk to you about this today, because every first date is a huge opportunity. We want you to take advantage of that opportunity to possibly be sitting in front of the one. And even if it's not the one, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to practice. And I mean, every first date can be fun, and there's no such thing as a bad first date.
That's true. And if they don't work out so well, they become great blog posts and fabulous stories for my speeches. And no, but seriously, every date is an opportunity to learn a little bit about yourself and to learn about somebody else, to get dressed up, to have adult conversation. I mean, there's so many great things about dating, and so many people despise dating. So we're here to make you like dating a little more, and not because, as Blake said, to just get her drunk. And that's not the advice that we're going to give you today. So the first thing that we want to talk about in preparing for a first date is to prepare your stories. So what we mean by that is to prepare statements about the questions that you're going to be asked on a first date. And there are some questions that come up all the time. One of them is, if you're divorced, who initiated the divorce? Why are you divorced? Have you had any relationships since your divorce? If you've never been married, why didn't you ever get married? Why were you still single? Blah, blah, blah. If you've had a lot of career changes, somebody might ask you, why did you change jobs so often? So if you know these kinds of questions come up a lot, how's online dating going for you? How do you like it? How's dating in general? So, these kinds of questions, unless you prepare your answers, you end up going down a rabbit hole often and into negativity, into, online dating sucks and I'm not really meeting anyone. And let me tell you about this horrible first date I had. And then you get into having these horrible conversations, which might be kind of funny, but they don't really advance your dating with the person in front of you. So I want you to prepare your statements to answer these questions. So if you have been divorced, I don't care if you're divorced for 6 months or 10 years, it doesn't really matter who initiated the divorce. It's none of anybody's business, and it doesn't really tell them anything about you. So prepare something positive, what I like to call the PR version of your life. And, I really wanted our marriage to work out and really tried hard and didn't work. And I am so happy to have reinvented my life. And I'm really looking forward to love working out this time. How about you? So you share your positive statement and then check in with them. And the same goes for never having been married. It's, it's the short version of it. Nothing has worked out up until this point, but you're in a great place now and you're really ready for love. You have career changes. They're probably all connected in some way. I find that I used to think I was like a career ADD person who changed careers so often. But one day I sat down and took a look at all my careers and saw that they were all connected through the values that I have in my core. So you don't have to go into a whole long list of all the careers you've had, but say you were a teacher and then you became a real estate broker. You could say, I love working with people. And so I've had a few careers working with people until I found the one that I love the most, which is what I do now. So that's some of your prepared stories.
I like that we started with this. And the idea isn't to get a script. It's just that, because you've got dating coaches, that how you answer these questions that come up almost every time, and they usually come up right at the beginning, how you answer these particular questions will set the pace for the entire time with that person. So that's what Sandy's talking about, that rabbit hole. When you start off with, and I was online for on and off for like 7 years before I met my husband online and married him at 47. Almost every date started out with, so how's online dating going for you? Right? And if you don't have this, what I call a prepared statement, like Sandy was talking about, to say, oh, you know what? It's interesting and it's been fun and it's great. It's leading me to what I want most, a great relationship. That's your answer. Instead of, obviously you're both sitting there talking to each other, so it's kind of going crap. It's not going the way you want it to. So that's only going to go negative. And that's going to ruin any opportunity, there's that word again, to make a connection with somebody who may be a good match for you. So the other piece of this in terms of preparation is, in order to be a good dater, I believe that it's your job, especially for women, I believe that it's your job to help your date get to know you. So a lot of times we go into dates, I used to do it, just sort of sitting back and expecting the guy or the woman to just ask us questions about ourselves. I hear this all the time with women that I coach. He didn't ask me anything about myself. People asking questions, it's a skill. Not everybody knows how to do that. Not everyone feels comfortable. They're worried about interrogating you. So what I want you to do is I want you to build the skill of helping people get to know you. And the best way to do that is using what I call nuggets. So nuggets are small pieces of information about you that help someone get to know something important about yourself. So for instance, Sandy, you were talking about, well, here's my career. All my career choices have been about helping people. That's a nugget. That's like a really juicy nugget. Instead of saying, oh yeah, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this and I've done this, instead of stating all the facts, she went straight to the feeling. She went straight to, here's something you can learn about me. I actively in my life choose to try to help people. It makes me happy to make other people happy. These nuggets, and I teach them to everyone I work with. These nuggets are so important and they help you, not just you share who you are, but the cool thing is, you get to learn exactly who the other person is by how they respond. So in preparation, I want you to start writing down nuggets about you. I want you to start thinking about what, not just your accomplishments, but your values, your beliefs, your dreams. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? How was your childhood? Who influenced you in your life? What's really important to you? How do you imagine your retirement or later years to be? These are the kind of things when you're looking for a real partner that are important to know about each other. So I'm going to give you real quick. I have an example. And by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about on the date, like small talk, what conversation is right. Here's an example of a nugget. And I'm reading it because this is something one of my clients came up with. I'm a whenever I hang my hat kind of gal. I've lived in 8 places along the East Coast the last 10 years. I don't have a favorite place because everywhere I've lived, I've learned to love it. That's something that if you're looking for a lifetime partner, you need somebody to know that that's your lifestyle, right? That's an important part of your lifestyle. So you have that nugget and you share that nugget, and the guy, not only does he get to know something important about you, but his response could be, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Tell me more. Or I haven't done that, but that sounds pretty cool. Or his response could be, oh, okay. So what books do you like to read? Right? So not only have you helped him learn about you, but you're going to learn about him in response. And that's how you make a first date great. That's how you do it. You talk about real things that really matter in a way from your heart, from feelings, from your life experience, and you see if you connect. And if you don't, that's okay. But first date preparation, really important, is to be able to share about yourself and help people get to know you.
I love the nuggets.
The nuggets.
Okay, I'm getting echoes and feedback here for some reason. Oh, now it's better. You're not hearing me echo, right?
I'm not.
Okay, good. I'm holding this up because I think it's better. Okay, so yeah, I love nuggets. I think, people talk about how online dating or dating itself often feels like an interview. And they hate the barrage of questions, that somebody is like, ask you a million questions about yourself, and it just feels so inorganic. So while you don't want it to turn into an interview, you really need to see it as an interview, because you would prepare for an interview. You would come with the right clothes, with the right statements prepared. Your resume is prepared, just like your online profile. It's really not that different. And if you want to ace the job, then you also want to ace the date, as we have created a program about acing the date. And so the next thing that you really want to do is think about the outer appearance. So you're preparing internally, but you also have to prepare externally. And a lot of people stress about this. And I think it's really important to prepare in advance. And I know for me, I have a first date outfit that is a pretty easy go-to. I have a few, but I think if you just set aside first date outfits, I actually have a lot of my clients working with an image consultant, because she even works remotely and helps people shop online for things so that it flatters their body. And no matter what your size, no matter how old you are, no matter how tall you are, if you wear the right clothes, you will look better, feel better, have more confidence on a date. And if you're not spending 2 hours in front of your closet going through your clothes and feeling really disheartened because you have nothing to wear, you're going to come into the date with a lot better attitude. So get that first date outfit for daytime dates and for nighttime dates, and be prepared so you can just easily go into your closet and get it. Same goes for makeup. Just go out and get a new makeover. I when I got divorced, I had the worst clothes, the worst makeup, the worst undergarments. Everything about me had been neglected. And when you have that makeover, it just makes you feel like a new lease on life. And it gives you confidence. And confidence is sexy. And so when you come in with confidence, with your head held high because you feel great, everything else is easier. So that's pretty much the external, outside stuff. And
then there's the inside stuff.
Yes.
Right. Then there's the preparation mentally, emotionally, which I think is so important when you're going on a date. And this is the idea about like leaving work and then going to meet somebody for the first time is a definite no-no. You don't want to show up. First of all, you don't want to show up in your business clothes. It's usually not very sexy, but you need to really, again, opportunity. It's an opportunity. You want to make the best of it. You wouldn't go into a job interview just like, yeah, whatever. Well, actually, you might, but you won't get the job. I've done it. You've gone and it's a great job, and you're like, oh, I wish I had prepared for this. So preparing emotionally is so important, just for dating in general, right? And a really big part of that, a huge part of that, is expectations. So let's talk about expectations. I'm of the mind that men are better daters in general than women are in this way. When men do a better job of looking at a date as, oh, I have an opportunity to meet this woman. There's things about her that I like. I'm going to go get to know her. Women generally approach dates as, I hope he's the one. Is he the one? Could he be the one? And what that does is it sets you up for such unrealistic expectations. And it's especially true when you've met through online dating, right? So maybe you've seen their profile and you emailed, and maybe you've got really high expectations, or maybe you're dreading it and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a waste of time. So you've got low expectations. Neither of those are going to equate to success for you. And the reason is, obviously, if you have very high expectations, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And if you have low expectations, you're not going to really be there. You're not going to put your best self forward, and you're going to look for what's wrong. Okay? So preparing mentally is really about being realistic. What my principle number one of dating like a grown-up, balancing your head and heart. Principle number two is kindness to yourself and the men you meet. Okay? So taking those two principles, preparing emotionally is really about being realistic about this is just one person, that there's millions more out there. This is an opportunity. I want to do my best. I want to have some fun. And worst case, like we were talking about, we'll learn something and practice and get better for the next time. But just being very realistic about what to expect. And that kindness part, that emotional preparation is also, hey, I'm great. Like kindness to yourself, I'm great. I'm a wonderful woman. I'm a wonderful man. I have things to give. And if it doesn't work out, if it's somebody that doesn't choose me, then that's okay. It just means we're not right for each other. And the other side is kindness to the person you're meeting. It's really important to remember that, oh, he may not look the same, or maybe he's got less hair than you thought he would, or right. There's all kinds of reasons why you may be disappointed. But your disappointment is about expectations. Does that make sense? I've heard it said that expectations are just disappointments waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. So all you can do is expect what you can do. Expect that you're going to go with the best attitude, realizing it's an opportunity, wanting to have fun, using your nuggets to help get to know each other, having a nice meal, and that's all you can expect. And that way, when you go, you're in the moment, you're not in your head, and you can just enjoy yourself and really have a real time. And one thing that I want to give you as sort of emotional preparation too, especially for women, is going with the idea of, I hope I like him. Going with the idea of, I hope I like him. Because we so often go thinking about him liking us. Did I do okay? Is he going to like the way I look? Is he going to think, this about me or that about me? And the fact is, we're all meeting each other to find out if we're a good match. So you should be thinking just being with him and experiencing him and thinking about how you feel with him and hoping you like him, and not being in your head about what he's judging or how he's judging, because you're making that all up. You have no idea. So take care of yourself, have a good time, be your best, be kind, and know that this is just a step in the journey. And then one of those steps will be your final step, and that'll be that. When I went to meet my husband, I was not driving there thinking I'm going to meet my husband. That's not how it happens. A lot of other times before I met him, I thought I was, right? A lot of other times I thought, oh, I'm going to meet my husband. And I was disappointed many times. So prepare yourself emotionally, and you'll be able to take full advantage of the experience.
Yeah, I so agree with you. And I learned that the hard way. When I first started dating after my divorce, every man was blown so far out of proportion that there was always disappointment. I mean, these guys could not match my idea of who they were. And one of the worst cases was somebody who I attached to within the first few days of, actually the first phone call was 3 hours long, and the next day he was sending me poetry, and I just fell head over heels. And so did he. And he had been divorced longer, and he had actually been married several times. So he had a lot of practice with this. I didn't. And the in-person connection was so horrible. I couldn't even be in the same space with him for 10 minutes. I mean, it was that bad. It was like the feeling of dread when I finally saw him for the first time. Like, this guy did not match my expectations. So I learned, lower the expectations. I think Henry Winkler said expectations are the termites of relationships, or something like that. Or maybe it's either expectations or assumptions. That sounds like it should be more assumptions. But in any case, the other thing that I really like that you say, Bobbi, is that, don't go in thinking you're going to meet your husband. And I think that, just to know that you're there to see how the first date goes, and to see if you have a good time. It's really to lower the whole, you have to know on that first date, what we think of love is that butterflies, and you're going to know it when you see it, and you're going to walk in the room. I mean, people's profiles say this all the time. Yep. I'm going to know him. He's going to, she's going to walk in, and the chemistry is going to be through the roof. And, I'm actually speaking this weekend about redefining love in the modern world. And I've been immersed in this for the last, 10 hours, just writing about what love is and what love is not. And what love is not is the Disney version of somebody coming in and swooping you off your feet, and that butterfly chemistry thing, which, look, it could happen. You could have great chemistry, but that often does not last. And that's only one stage in the whole relationship. It's what the book Love Cycles calls the merge stage, where your hormones are going crazy. But that's when you're actually in a fog of hormones and you can't see straight. So that's not how you want to sustain in a relationship. But so let's talk about, you're walking into the date for the first time. How do you make that great first impression? It starts with how you walk in the room. How, do you show up on time? I even have told men that I'm an on-time person on the phone, so that they know that I have a value around time and being on time, and I want to know if they're on time. So that's preparation too, is just finding out.
You and I could never date. It drives Larry crazy that I'm not on time.
So it doesn't have to be a deal breaker, because I still like you, even though you're not on time, but we're not dating. So then, so you want to know, is the person going to be sitting there when you get there? You're going to, so you want to make eye contact. You want to smile, a big smile. And how do you greet them? Did you want to say something about the smile?
Sorry, I was going to say, no matter what.
Oh,
this is about being kind and a good dater. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, even that guy who I had the horrible first, connection with, that high expectation guy, he had horrific teeth, and his whole personal appearance was so, just repulsive to me. But I didn't show it on my face. I mean, I probably did to some extent. It's hard not to, but I smiled. And how do you greet someone? So people have different opinions about this. I think that if you have felt a connection on the phone and you want to give them a quick hug, that's fine. A lot of people are not comfortable hugging if they don't know somebody yet. So shaking hands is also okay, but not like you're at an interview. So Bobbi made a face, but I usually don't shake hands, but occasionally there's somebody who extends a hand. So I think if you cover the person's hand with your hand, so it's not just a, nice to meet you, but you actually cover their hand, and it's a much more affectionate, warm, you distinguish between that and a job interview. And, but a kiss on the cheek, a little hug, it's not, you're not going in for the makeout session. You're just greeting them warmly. And, and you want to keep your body language open. during the date. But I'm going to have you go to first conversation tips, and maybe we'll get back to the body language in a bit.
Well, you know what? I think you should talk about the body language.
Okay. So when you're sitting down, open your body. Don't cross your arms. Don't close yourself off. We have a tendency to protect ourselves, and it shows in your body. Something that Bobbi has talked about is to clear the table of any obstacles so that you have a clear view of each other and you're not obstructed. And I love that, just if there's ketchup and mustard or salt and pepper shakers, you just move them to the side so that you see each other. Obviously, phones off the table, put away on vibrate or silent. And I've even if you take your phone and say, I'm going to put my phone away now because I'm here to be with you. And I really, I'm spending this time with you. Boom. You have modeled for them what you want them to do without saying, can you put your damn phone away? So that's it. I mean, people have all kinds of different tips in terms of showing somebody that you like them. So you can touch your hair, touch your neck. You can touch them on the, on the arm, on places that are not sexual. I had somebody once touch me on my lower back, and it made me cringe because I was not ready to be touched there yet. So you don't want to invade somebody's space before they're ready to have you touch them in that way. So I think, just casual touching to make a point. The way you look at somebody says a lot. I don't know. I think that's it for body language.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have heard, and this is happening personally, several times when a woman has, at the beginning of the date, was not into a guy, but by the end of the date was, but wasn't open because she wasn't open at the beginning, because she had all that stuff in her head and she was making judgments. The man never called her again, and the man never asked her out again because she blew it, because she made these, snap judgments and then closed off and didn't share and didn't smile and didn't have fun until it was too late. So remember, I know some people are going to watch this and think, well, if I don't like him, this is going to be really hard. I'm not going to do this. If he repulses you, that's one thing. But you know what? In all the years that I dated, I can literally, most men are really, really nice. Most people are really great and they're really nice. And you may not have this instant connection, which is not a bad thing, like Sandy said. So this is about being kind. This is about being kind of skilled and keeping your options open. So moving the things out of the way when you sit down, that's actually a signal. Like Sandy, the way you said, I'm literally showing you that I'm putting my phone away. That's a signal to the other person that's really meaningful. It's really meaningful. It's like, I'm here. I'm invested. I want to get to know you. And that can help the other person open up and the other person feel more comfortable. And these are, maybe they don't have dating coaches telling them about this. So definitely take advantage of this. You'll see how the other person responds favorably and positively by you doing some of these just little things. So let's talk about conversation. Okay. So first thing, and I think this varies, Larry and I on our first, we had a meet date, we had coffee and then we had lunch. And then we had the next day, we had a date. So on our date, Larry and I talked about politics, religion, family, we did it all. And so it really does vary sometimes based on what you're sharing with one another. Generally speaking, the first date conversation, it needs to stay positive. That's how I look at it. It needs to stay positive, not fake, but you want to avoid oversharing. You want to do what I call as good baggage handling. So since we work specifically with women over 40, let's face it, we have things in our lives, all of us, right? We've all got There's financial stuff, there's health stuff, there's family stuff, there's career stuff, there's all kinds of things in our life that we could bond on with this other person. But you don't want to do that at the beginning. So to me, it's different. Small talk versus positive talk is different. You can talk about politics. You can talk about religion. You can talk about your family. If you're in agreement, why not? If it's something that is interesting to you, if it's something that you're both interested in and excited about, then do that on a first date. I don't think there's anything that says you shouldn't. But remember the nuggets that you have. The nuggets are going to help you talk about things, again, that matter, right? So the weather. So here's an example. Here's a really common thing, right? Tell me if this happens to you, Sandy. It's like, maybe we talk about vacations, right? So vacations are great. Talking about where you like to go on vacation is great. But just because you tell me the facts, like I like to go to Hawaii, I like to go here, I want my next trip, I want to go to Spain. That's all really interesting, but that's small talk. What I want you to do on your first conversation and use your nuggets is I want you to talk about why. I want you to talk about what do you want to experience? What do you want to feel? Why is your favorite place Hawaii? Are there family stories? Does it remind you of, when your family used to go? Do you love learning about new cultures? Do you love, testing gelato everywhere you go? Those are the kind of things that's real conversation and really helps you get to know one another. So that's a really important piece of it. And your nuggets will help you do that. And when somebody's not responding, or when somebody's responding too much, Sandy's going to talk about that, about managing the conversation, because you kind of want, as a friend of mine says, you want to pass the conversation ball. Not everybody's good at that. And I want to tell women, this is really important. We're better communicators, ladies, okay? We're better communicators. Our brains work in that way better than men's brains. So give them a break. And if you have to ask them some questions and use your nuggets and sort of bring some things out, that's okay. Don't ding him for that. It's about what he shares. And then what if he talks your head off, Sandy?
Well, I want to say that, people tend to write people off immediately if they've dominated the conversation, but they have stayed there passively. And I've done it too. And I've called those bobblehead dates where my head's like a bobblehead, right? Yes. So I had no idea how to interrupt or what to do. I just thought it was rude to interrupt the man. And, and I thought, well, if he doesn't know better, then he's not the right guy for me. But that's not true. So, before I want to talk about how we manage those conversations, I just wanted to share a success story. Somebody who I recently spoke with who said that she met a man who she wasn't that attracted to. And they went out a bunch of times, and she's pretty religious, so she didn't touch him for, the first number of dates. And then he asked if he could hug her. And she wasn't that comfortable. And then she thought about it. And then she said, yeah, okay, let's hug. And they had been going out maybe 5 times already. So, in the regular world, this doesn't fly. But in the more religious circles, it can. And she said she really hadn't been that attractive, but he was such a nice guy that when he went to hug her, it was like electricity. She said she knew it could go either way, but it opened up something in her. And now they're dating pretty seriously. So you never know, and it doesn't always happen right away. In fact, she had been dating somebody else where the chemistry was great right away, and that relationship burned out really quickly. So that's an important reminder. Don't make first judgments be your only judgment, especially when it comes to attraction. I mean, not when you're repulsed, like Bobbi said, but if there is some attraction and you feel connected and you share common values and you have some must-haves that, he has some of your must-haves, then, give him a chance. Don't just write him off after the first date or after he dominates the conversation. So what happens when you are on a bobblehead date and he's dominating? So you really can interrupt somebody, and often they will thank you, as Bobbi has seen with her clients, and I've seen with mine. I've even seen it with people I've been on a date with. If you politely interrupt, and also, so one thing you can say when you interrupt is there anything you'd like to know about me? And just to kind of redirect the conversation. I had that happen once where the guy stopped the conversation, asked me a question, and then brought it right back to himself. That was a pretty good sign that we were not going to go on a second date. But for the most part, people talk a lot because they're nervous, not because they're jerks or narcissists necessarily. So give them a chance to ask you a question. Also, if they start talking about their past, and this is such a common thing, let me just tell you everything about my ex-wife that I hate. These conversations happen on a first phone call. They don't even wait for the date. And people think that this is necessary information, that you need to know this about me. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you about my cancer and about my ex-wife and about my money problems, because if you don't like me after I tell you this, vomit, 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 then
sorry, it's especially true of those of us who are older.
Yes.
It's like, we don't have a lot of time. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah, let's put it out there. Or, tell me if you're really good in bed, because I just need to know now. I've heard that too, because, I don't want to waste time. I'm sure you wasted time with men who were not good in bed, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that doesn't work. We need to have some social graces. And so you really want to get to know who somebody is right now, not about their past. I think, Bobbi, you once told me that there's parts of your past that you still haven't shared with your husband because they don't need to know everything about us. Really, we should be proud of who we've become, not dwelling in the past. And so I think that we need to just kind of redirect that conversation, say something polite, like, I'm really interested in getting to know who you are today. Can we talk about, I'd like to, just, and change the topic and change it to a conversation about who they become. Maybe they've done some great work on themselves. What's the thing you're most proud of since your divorce or since your last relationship? I sometimes ask somebody, what's the biggest takeaway since your divorce? Keeping it in a positive direction. Some people haven't learned anything, and that's good information too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think we have something here from Drew. If a man feels compelled about an ex on a first date, he's not ready for dating.
That's right.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Some people just don't even realize it, but it's not for us to fix. It's just for us to find out and walk away.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bobbi, we're getting towards the end here. So what do we do at the end of a date?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got one more thing. The idea of, especially with men talking a lot, it's so important to have compassion when you're dating. It's so important, that kindness piece is just such an important part. And because of a lot of our past experiences that maybe have been, not so positive, a lot of us do come to dating with negative assumptions, with walls, with defenses. And we're creating a lot of the bad results because of that. So the talking a lot, and I hear this a lot, with women that are going out with men, especially men who are widowed, especially men who maybe are retired or semi-retired. Men don't socialize like we do. We get on the phone and we blab.
Blab, blab.
We have a social circle. Women have a social circle. Women are, again, they're naturally conversationalists. They naturally work out their challenges verbally. They naturally look for community. And men are hunters. They're looking for the solution. Okay. So remember, for women especially, if you're sitting with a man and he's really sharing and talking a lot, it could could very likely, because like Sandy said, because he's nervous, but it could also very likely be because he doesn't have a chance to do that with someone else. And here's this warm, lovely woman who is there and interested. And he's taking advantage of this wonderful situation. He's taking advantage and feeling safe and sharing with you. So if you can look at it from that way, and instead of going, oh my God, this guy's driving me crazy, and think, oh, look, he's being a man. He trusts me. He's opening up to me. And then use Sandy's tips to manage the conversation into a more productive one. That's a really good way. That's a really, I want to really have you take that tip and use it and apply it. Some men are going to steamroll through and keep talking, and some men are going to sit back and go, oh yeah, thanks for saving me. Like you're going to save him from himself. Mm-hmm. Just be compassionate and try to understand his point of view. Okay. Cause I love, understanding the differences between us is so important. So
yeah. And that's a whole other blab.
So let's talk about that ending of the date. Okay. So you've done your preparation. You've gone, sort of physically, emotionally prepared. You've been open. You made a good first impression. You've been open. You've shared about yourself. You've gotten to know him, and you've decided, you think he's somebody you'd like to get to know better. Remember, you don't have to be, oh my God, I just have to go out with him. Just, is he someone that you would like to get to know better? Again, I think men do this better than we do. They're like, yeah, let's spend another hour or two together. If he's somebody that you do want to see again, it's really important for women to let the man know. I think it's really important. And especially when you're dating what Alison Armstrong calls kings. Okay. When you're dating somebody, and when you're dating a man who's comfortable with himself, he's achieved a lot in his life. He's not climbing ladders anymore. He knows what he wants in life. He knows how to get it. He's, grounded, kind, interesting guy. Then he's not going to chase you. He's not a chaser. Okay. Grown-up men don't chase. And it's really important to give him the message that if he asks, you'll say yes. It's a gift you can give him. It's a gift. It's not your job to do it. You don't have to do it with men that you don't want to go out with. But if you want to go out with a man, I want you to end the date in a way that lets him know very clearly that you're interested. And the way to do that is to go a little bit past your, I had a nice time. Because everybody does that, right? Even on a terrible date, you go, oh, it was nice meeting you. I had a nice time. So I just want you to add a little bit onto that and say something like, I had a nice time. It would be great to do it again. Or it would be fun to know more about this and such. Or it would be interesting to, look at this thing that we have in common together. So just give him that little bit more than the obligatory thank you, I had a nice time, out the door, and then you never answer his calls again. And let him know, just, that if he asks, you'll say yes. Again, it's a kindness, but it's also good for you, because I'd rather have you go home and call me as your coach and say, I let him know, that I was interested. I don't know if he's going to call me. Then go home and call me as your coach and say, he never called me, but I'm not sure he knew I was interested.
Right. And now let me send a text or an email.
No,
and
yeah, exactly.
Right. So
yeah.
I so agree. And I think our job is to be clear and give the green light when we want to. And often our green light is totally missing. And, men are trying to guess. We don't need them to guess what we want, because we can be clear. And it starts with the first email you send on an online dating site. You send an email that is a green light. It's not asking him out. It's just saying, hey, I think there's some interest here. I'd like to get to know you more. That's it. It's not, hey, you're really cute. I want to go out for coffee with you. Are you free next week? I have clients who do that. Yes. And that's not okay, because then what happens is they attract men who just are very passive and want them to do all the asking and the controlling, and then women get resentful, and it's like, okay, you got to break that cycle. So put the green light on, let a man know you're interested from the first phone call, first email, first date. There should be no guessing. And as Jim says, we usually guess wrong too.
Yes.
And, yeah. So my son just went on a date, and he told me that the woman gave him all the wrong signs. She didn't dress for the date. She didn't wear makeup. She wore sweatpants. She didn't make eye contact. She didn't make good conversation. And at the end, he said, I don't even know if this was a date. Like, I thought it was a date. I thought it was clear that it was a date, but I think she just was hanging out with me. Meanwhile, she went home and told her girlfriend, I had a great time with Max. So it's like, he came home with he had a good time. He had an okay time, but it wasn't like, it's like what women often do is give the wrong message.
Yeah.
So
the Rolls days are over.
Yes.
And not just because, it's 2016, but because we're older, because we're grown-ups, because we've evolved and we've changed, both men and women. And our relationships in the world, our roles and relationships in the world are confusing. And again, I like to think of it as a gift that we can give to men. And I call it showing interest but not taking the lead, right? So just let them know I'm interested, and, I'll say yes if you ask. And ending that first date that way, again, it's all about you just knowing that you did your best. When I debrief dates with my clients, right? When I'm coaching clients after their dates, they fill out this form where they talk about what they've learned and what their experience is, and we debrief. And to me, and all these questions come, what do you think he meant by that? And what do you think he's going to do? And we don't go there. We just talk about, what did you do? How did you show up as your best? How did you take the best advantage of the opportunity to meet another single person who's possibly looking for the same thing as you? And how did it help you get closer to your goal?
Yep.
And that's what it's about.
Yep. You need to be learning, growing, and seeing it for what it is, not trying to interpret, because we don't know what goes on in anybody else's mind. And this is, I think, such a big issue with women. It was actually something that got me into this field, because I had a friend who would interpret men and everything that men did in a way that was completely wrong. And, he would say one thing and she would think the opposite, and she wasn't seeing what was in front of her. And so it's like we have to stop interpreting. It doesn't matter why somebody never called us back, unless there's something we need to learn so we can do better next time, not to try to win the person back. And I just got an email from a woman who wanted to know how to end a horrible relationship with a guy who had already left her and was with someone else, and she feels she needs closure. And I said, he's not going to even read your letter. Like, he doesn't care. You need closure. He doesn't. And so it's, the whys, I have to let him know. Yeah, I used to do that when I was younger, and it just eats you up inside. So you show up and be your best, like Bobbi said. And, I think that when we do that, we have our best chance at meeting somebody who's going to hopefully be a great connection.
And attract the right person.
Exactly. So
I was wondering, I was going to ask Drew if he had Drew wanted to to jump in, and I wondered if he had a camera.
Yeah. So if you do, then you can jump in and talk about the men's side of dating. Oh, there he goes.
I guess not.
No, he does. He's calling in.
Oh, he is. Okay, cool.
There we go. Hey, Drew.
Yay!
Give me a second here. I got to get my lighting. I got to light up my good side.
Okay.
Which means that here's my good side. I fundamentally, honestly, I really do, like Bobbi and I go way. We have a history as quasi-professionals. Well, she's a professional. I'm a quasi-professional. And by the way, last first date, I forgot your first name. Forgive me. Sandy. I've been following you on Twitter for a long time.
Oh.
And I do every now and again will retweet things you say. Bobbi, I do the same for you, as you know. You both have far more followers than I do. Fundamentally, I absolutely agree with everything you're saying. And it's very, very nice to hear realistic advice being given to single women over a certain age, or the post-divorce demographic, I call it. And it's just very, very nice. In order for y'all to be successful at what you do, you've got to be very realistic about the dynamic between men and women, and the truth of the matter, of the mistakes that women are making, and the good things that women are saying. And then I write for the guys. I write for a post-divorce single male perspective. And I also give the kinds of tips, not nearly as structured as y'all are doing, but fundamentally, I mean, if you plow through my blog, you can see a lot of this stuff. I do give some advice to women, because I do have some female readers, but mostly it's male readers, and it's a different way of communicating. In fact, I don't even recommend you read my blog.
Give it to us.
Oh, I am hang on. Let me.
The private man.
Yeah, just Google the private man, and you'll get it. And it goes back. I've been doing it for more than 5 years now, and I've got several hundred blog posts, and some of them are very direct. I don't pull any punches, but guys, they like that kind of advice. They like concrete steps they can do in order to up their attractiveness, to have better, successful dating. And everything that you're saying is absolutely necessary for women to understand and to internalize. I think that's a big thing women need to do, is certainly internalize some of these things and understand that dating is a process, and you're going to have good dates and you're going to have bad dates. Men will make mistakes, and it annoys me no end when a man starts weeping about an ex on the first date. I mean, this is one of the primary the primary filtering if a man is ready to date, period. If he feels compelled to talk about an ex on the first date, he is just simply not ready for dating, and he needs to deal with that. He needs to give it more time. He might need to seek professional help in terms of a counselor, whatever it takes. But he needs a relatively clean slate in order to start the dating process. But it is a process, and and men, and as you all pointed out, men and women do communicate very, very differently. They send out very, very different signals. The good thing is that these signals can be learned and observed. And I think women tend to be better at it than men. Of course, there are exceptions. I think that men are, especially the post-divorce crowd, they're out of practice. They've been with the same woman for 10, 15 years, which is about average for today's marriages. They're out of practice. They feel awkward. One of the problems that men over a certain age have is social isolation. They isolate themselves. And you mentioned this earlier in the Blab, I think it was you, Bobbi, who mentioned this, is that women tend to be a lot more social physically. They're willing to go out with the girls and have lunch or go shopping or go to a meetup.com singles event. And men are more apt to fall back on online dating. Yeah. And I exhort men all the time in my regular readers, and probably people here in this Blab because they're following me over, is I encourage them very seriously to just get out of the house. Little things like don't go grocery shopping once a month, go twice a week and buy less stuff. Just be around people. And online, is not real. And I recommend, and I've heard this from a number of different geographical areas, that meetup.com singles groups for the 40 plus crowd, overwhelmingly female attended. I mean, if a guy really wants to have have a smorgasbord of available women at his fingertips, and they're all single, go to a singles.com meetup. It's unbelievable. And I get, because of my involvement in the scene down here in South Florida, I get invitations all the time from desperate organizers saying, I have 37 single women, and this actually happened. I have 37 single women going to an event. I have no single men. None. Not a one had pre-signed up.
So here's something that I'm doing now. I'm organizing a singles soiree, kind of a retro mixer in the city, Manhattan. And the requirement is that every woman who attends has to bring a guy.
That's great, and I wish them. Now, here's a little tidbit that I learned from a speed dating organizer a couple of years back. The most popular speed dating events for men are masculine kinds of things. So what she does is that she does speed dating at an indoor go-kart track, and it's always the men sign up like that. I mean, they're all over that like a cheap suit.
Beer tasting or. Yeah. Beer making, we have Match.com, they have their stir events and they have a beer making one. And I can see the number of men to women, more men. Yay.
Absolutely.
So, Drew, I want to ask you a question because we're going to run out of time. So, first date tip, what is a first date tip that you have for women? Something maybe, is there anything that we haven't brought up that you think could really help them for our over 40 crowd?
You've got it very, very well covered. And people who see the replay on this, the women who see the replay on this, you've said all the right things. I like that you reiterated the fact several times that a woman needs to have open body language. She needs to be in a receptive mood. She needs to, one of the few pieces of advice that I actually give women, the arms crossing. Oh, that is so annoying. Is that, for a woman, is that even before she actually agrees to go on the date, just in general, when she's out and about and dealing with men, observing men and interacting with men, find one good thing about that person, that man you've seen. Just one. That's you say three. I think actually we've had this conversation. Okay. I just say one. I mean, I have low expectations.
But when you're out and about, I think it's the same thing. I mean, to find one thing, I think it's great.
Yeah, just that one thing. And I've gotten some very, very good feedback on my blog from that advice. One woman said something very nice. She said, I had no idea there were so many attractive men in my town.
Yep.
Because she was going through that exercise of just finding, and it doesn't have to be very, very dramatic, nice shoes, nice voice, good looking Roman nose. Oh, he's, and I use the example of the landscaper working on the median strips here in South Florida. What's one good thing? You can't even see these guys because they're all covered up because of the hot sun. What's one good thing about these guys? They're working. They may not speak English. They may not have green cards. They're working.
They're breathing.
Yeah. Well, it goes way beyond just breathing. But there is a demographic shortage of men over a certain age because of social. They don't come out, and this is a real problem. And I get this question all the time, not all the time, but often enough from people like yourselves, speed dating organizers, even the matchmaking crowd. Where are all the single men over a certain age? Well, number one, they are out there, but women have to make a point to notice them. That's one problem. But the second problem is the men. They are not getting out of the house. The divorce or the ending of a long relationship has really taken the wind out of their sails. The guys who do have that kind of extroverted charisma, those are the guys. They're very attractive. They're very compelling. They're like, oh baby, look at this guy. He approaches and he's got a bit of a swag going on, and he doesn't have to be rich or anything, but he's got that charisma. Those are the guys who are dating all the women.
They're experienced daters. They're not potential partners.
Right. They're very experienced. Now, I'm not saying that they can't find a long-term relationship, but they're in the game a little bit too much.
So I love that you're here.
This is fun, but we do have to end. I have a client in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it's really important, kind of what you're saying is, are you looking for a great date or are you looking for a great mate? So I'm going to, if I can put a little bow on that.
That's good. I actually ask guys, and the people that I talk to know this from experience. I always ask them, what are your relationship goals?
Yeah.
That's another check mark for are you ready for dating? If you don't know your relationship goals, you're not ready for dating.
Right. So I just had a great idea.
Yeah.
In order to find dates, people should go into apartment buildings with a lot of single men and just knock on the door like a traveling salesman, and women could have the pick of their...
Find them on their couch.
Lying around in their Barco lounger playing video games. Oh, please. Right.
Forget online dating. Just go door to door. Anyway, we do need
dating
to
is here
end.
to stay.
Thank you, Drew.
I love seeing you.
Anyway, well, it's good. I know you all have to run. You got things to do and people to meet, and I appreciate that. And I'm around. I'm on Blab on a regular basis. Thank you, Bobbi, for introducing me to Blab. I do run Blabs in the evening, and I do talk about this stuff on a fairly regular basis, but it's ad hoc. I don't announce it in advance. But anyway, thank you so much for talking about this, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm coming to Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have lunch.
Ooh.
I'm going to call you next week.
Okay, please do.
I want to go to Florida.
All right.
Okay.
Ciao, y'all. Bye.
All right.
At a talk that I did for a singles group. Anyway, okay, we're running late.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so let's wrap up. And Bobbi, you want to?
yes, I just want to say that first of all, I love working with you and doing our blabs together. I have a first date handbook that I'd like to offer as a gift. So just go to datelikeagrownup.com/first date, datelikeagrownup.com/first date, and you can get as my gift your first date handbook, which has some of what we talked about and more. And again, it's just a free gift because this is something that the better we do, because we waste so many great opportunities, men and women, and you aren't going to get to a relationship unless you ace that first date. It's just a fact.
Yeah. And to be aware of what we contribute. I think that when you take personal responsibility, and I just had this conversation with a friend last night, that a lot of people who, blame the other person, they blame their ex, they blame the date, they blame, whatever. But in any situation, you can always look within and see, what can I do better next time? And so you can be proud of what you did. And you can also say, what am I learning? How am I growing? Because we broadcast messages all the time, and we need to be careful about the messages that we broadcast out, because people see us in a certain light.
Yeah.
So I also love doing these blabs with you, Bobbi, and we're going to be back at the beginning of next month. Hey, Bella.
I had to.
Every first Thursday of every month. So the first Thursday of April, we'll be posting it. And I also have a free gift. And if you go to my website, lastfirstdate.com, you can sign up for my free guide on the top 3 mistakes that midlife daters make and how you can turn them around to find love now. So go to lastfirstdate.com for that. And also, if you are a woman over 40 and would like to join my Facebook group, you go to facebook.com/groups/your last first dates. That's your last first date. And it's a fabulous group growing all the time. And we talk about everything from first dates that don't work out to, I'm having a Skype date and how do I handle it? And what's a good first date question? I mean, everything is up there with lots of great videos to watch. And it's just chock full of great tips. So your last first date on Facebook groups. So have a great day, everybody.
Wrap.
Okay.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.